What is up, guys? Liquor Mining here. So it's been a minute since I posted a new video, and finally I have some absolutely massive news to share. I've been in talks with a new firmware developer in the scene, and his goal is to add tuning to all of the underappreciated models of miners, starting with the Zcash miners, so the Z15 and Z15 Pro, and then working his way through Kaspa Dash, then also doing some BTC miners like the S21s and the script miners. So today I'm going to be going over what this firmware is, how to install the firmware, and then all the settings that you have available to you. And then for you guys that are waiting for the Z15 Pro, there actually will be a release for that on probably Monday or Tuesday of next week. And I will have that firmware dropped in my Discord, so make sure you hop over on there. I'll also, if I can, drop the links down below for the Z15 and Z15 Pro firmware when it does come out. So a little bit of an overview on the firmware itself. Essentially, it brings both the power and efficiency to all Z15 variants, so it doesn't matter if you have a Z15E, J, I, or the full-blown Z15, and eventually Z15 Pro. It allows you to set manual overclocks, also has self-tuning profiles for both efficiency and for power wattage goals. And then typically, we've seen on-peak efficiency of anywhere between 3 to 3.2 watts per caseload. Now, to put that in perspective, the stock is about 3.7 watts per caseload. So you're looking at about a 20% gain in efficiency. And I can show you on my Z15 that I'm running right now that I have bad hash boards on. I'm getting that 3.2. I have one actually running at 2.85 watts per caseload. So it is pulling significantly less power, but we're still getting over 200 caseload on two boards. So it's fantastic. And then if you have any of those big boy server PSUs, like I have the old breakout parallel miner boards with the 2000 watt power supplies, you can up the power on these to whatever you feel like. Though in testing, 825 to 850 megahertz seems to be the upper limit of what they can do, at least on air cooling, even with upgraded power supplies. I believe that he did try 300 or around there megahertz. But it was just getting way too hot on a single board, and plus you're still limited then by the PCIe cables, and you're way out of spec on it. A little bit more about the firmware itself. It is a 2.5% dev fee, which is lower than Brains or Venish. Venish, I know for a fact, is 2.8. I think Brains is around the same. And right now there is no over-the-air flashing on it, so it is SD card or micro USB only. So another things that are on there is that the thermal management has been completely overhauled from what Bitmain has on it. The fan controls also been completely overhauled from what Bitmain has on it. It does have full support for 4 fans. It also has updates to how it does the work that it sends out, so you'll have lower rejected shares and better data overall. If you didn't remember, on the new Z15 Pro firmware release, there were some issues from Bitmain. That stuff's been resolved from what I understand on there too. Another part of it is that the overclocking profiles are not set in stone for you. You just set the wattage that you want it to be at in the goals, and it just does it. And you can tell it too. You can say, I want it to be the most efficient as closely as possible to this wattage goal. I want it to be the most hash rate at this wattage goal or upper limit, or just overall find me the most efficient power mode or power state to be in to maximize the efficiency of it. It may not be up at 800k sol, or sorry, 420k sol on a Z15. It might be closer to 300 or like 320 or 340. Each machine is different. It will tune each individual, and that's the other thing, it tunes each individual chip as well for that power efficiency. So down here on this, I also have the chart from an earlier test of the Z15 Pro. Take a look at it. That's right. It's only got 2 boards in it, and it's doing 734 K-sols right now at the stock wattage. So if you were to run that with 3 boards, you'd be looking at over 900 K-sol. Currently, I believe he has one up to about 1.2 megasols. And then down here, I have the download. So first things first, the tools that you're going to need in order to do this is a micro SD card adapter, some way to plug it into your computer, obviously a computer, and then an SD card, preferably an 8 GB card. We will have these available on our store with the firmware already flashed on it. You can just choose which one you want. We'll also probably have control boards as well available with the firmware already flashed on it for the Z15 and Z15 Pro. So you can just order that if you don't want to go through the flashing process, you don't want to deal with that, and you just want to switch out the part, or you just want to get an SD card that you can plug in and it just works. We'll have those available as well. But if you want to do it yourself, it's pretty simple.
First things first, you're going to need the files in order to flash the SD card. So I have them actually in 2 locations. So I have it here on my Discord, which is in the latest announcement. I'll also make a separate part of my Discord for all the firmwares that I use and that I offer. The other option that you have is to go onto the 805mining.com website. We currently have an item on there for the Z15 firmware. You should be able to add to cart, and then on checkout, you should be able to download it since it is marked for free. I also have the Discord link there too. If you don't want to go through all that information or put in any of that stuff, you can just grab it there.
Next, we're going to go ahead and format the SD card in order to show it's FAT32. It looks like there's something already here. What's interesting is there seems to be another removable disk that's showing up, so it's a little bit sketchy. I guess this SD card I probably should be more careful with. But as you can see, it's already formatted the FAT32. All you got to do, at least in Windows, is go ahead and hit format and then format the FAT32. If you have a bigger than 8 GB drive, what you can do is when you format, it will let you choose the size of the drive. I believe it's still here actually. If you delete the volume, you can change the new volume size. And then again, you need to be FAT32, and it needs to be smaller than 8 GB. It's the upper limit of FAT32. Expanded FAT, EXFAT does not work. It needs to be FAT32. So once you have a drive of FAT32, what you're going to go ahead and do is go over to your download. So what you're going to do is go ahead to your download. Go ahead and unzip this. Drag all your files over to that USB drive. And just copy paste. Check your USB drive, make sure everything's there, and now we are good to go plug this into the miner.
All right, pardon the jank setup, but I just had some Z15 parts laying around and I didn't have the correct control board, so this one's sitting in a lid that I have for an S21 Slim. So what you're gonna do next is take your SD card and install it into the SD card tray. Should be right here on the front. If you still have a front plate, it'll be on the left side. If you don't have a front plate, then it's gonna be pretty obvious where it is. I do recommend though that if you haven't done an SD flash in a while, take the SD card and shove it in and out like that, click it in and out. These pins tend to get really, really corroded on these. So doing that a couple times is gonna get you going. So then once it's seated in, I do that probably actually about 10 times, but once it's seated in, what we're gonna go ahead and do is turn on the power. I have one of these parallel miner boards, so I'll just have the breakout right here. And we're gonna go ahead and turn it on. And then what we're gonna do is go ahead and power this on. I have a parallel miner thing, so I can just click it on the top. We're gonna install this SD card. We're gonna wait for these lights to go blank. And typically, it depends on the board. Some of them just go blank after they're done flashing. Other ones will start flashing. So it just went blank right now, so it's reading the SD card. And then this should start flashing when it is ready to go. And it's ready to go. We'll go ahead and remove the SD card and reboot. Alrighty guys, as you can see, we have logged into the miner now, and you can see that the firmware version shows 805 mining Z15, and obviously this menu looks much more up-to-date versus the stock Z15 one. As you can see, we have a lot of menu bars over here. We have miner configuration, miner status, network, and then we have a bunch of other stuff that shows up right here. So we can see the kernel log, auto-tune log, the work quality is coming out, all the regular stuff like that. This auto-tune log will be mildly interesting in a bit, but the bigger one is going to miner configuration. That's what we're here for. Obviously, we can put in our pool information, but now we have tuning and cooling. So under tuning, this is what we're all here for, right? We can change with manual tuning up here or automatic tuning down here. So we have target wattage, target best case souls under a limit. So obviously we set a maximum wattage, and it goes lowest watts per K sold. So this will search for the best efficiency of the miner. And then this is where we set all the pre-existing information. This is already tuned in. So we can set a lower overall millivolts. We can set a highest tuning voltage allowed. And then we can set the base information too. So 800 millivolts is the highest that we have it set from the factory. I think you can go up to about 820, 850, but these things tend to heat up really, really fast. So unless you're running immersion or something like that, then I wouldn't recommend it. You can also do chip-by-chip frequency scans. So these things have in the PIC the frequency set up already from the factory, but sometimes it is helpful to scan the entire machine. It also resets some of the information in the PIC as well. So scanning can be helpful if it's having some stability issues, but honestly, I haven't noticed any change by running this. I just run the automatic tuning. Next we have, cooling. So cooling, this is going to show our fan modes and stuff like that. Like I said, the miner is technically not running at the moment, so it's not actually displaying anything. Once the miner gets going and CG starts going, we're good. We can also enable immersion mode. So if you're running something without fans, like if you have a shrouded miner with the blow through, or if it's immersion, you can go ahead and disable the fans. And then miner status, that's just going to give you out your hashboard information. Like I said, the miner's not running right now. That's why this is not populated. And then network settings and diagnostics, you can see and make sure that everything is working correctly. So we'll go ahead and get the auto tune going real quick once I enter in my pool information. And then, oh, I totally missed it. Under stability and timing settings, there's a bunch of information that you can go and change on here. So maximum tuning temperature, so what you want to look at it, minimum expected work, all that. You can also enable the 825 and 850 megahertz and 781 to 800 millivolt overclocking profiles. So it will bump up the voltage as well. And then you gotta hit accept all responsibility if anything goes bad. And then you go ahead and hit start automatic tuning, and it should start running. Oh, so there's also a lot of fun Easter eggs in this. If I remember correctly, I can't remember if it's the logo or if it's the miner interface or one of these ones. Oh, there it is. If you click on the version thing, yeah, you can play Doom on your miner while you wait for everything to go. So yep, that's a cool little Easter egg that's in here. As you can see, we are still currently tuning, but it's been 30 minutes and we're now down below 3 watts per K sol. Actually, we're doing really good. 2.955 and 2.7 watts per K sol is what we're seeing on them right now. So we're getting 249 K sol off of 2 boards, running at 600 frequency. And I mean, that's awesome. We're looking at something that's now reduced the power usage by over 20%. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you're looking to get this firmware, like I said, it's going to be up on our website and on my Discord. And any updates are going to be announced in the announcements channel, and I will be making a new channel for any other firmwares he releases.